Any more news?
I've got the news. I've got the news. So we'll go down.
Ding,
so
ding,
now
ding, ding,
we've got
ding,
the,
ding,
we've got
ding,
I
ding,
think
Vince
the
has got
top
the news.
ding, ding. Dateline, San Juan Capistrano. We'll go back down the top 10 again. So the Sacramento Kings, in the lottery, get to pick 10th. The Mavericks 9th. The Knicks 8th. The T-Wolves 7th. Orlando 6th, and then also the Kings get a 5th round. So like we said, the Sacramento Kings get 2 picks in the top 10. And then the good news came, Suns get 4th, which meant that the Lakers were in the top 3. So it's protected. They get to keep it. Very excited about that. And even better than that, the Sixers get the 3rd, Lakers get the 2nd, and the Celtics get the 1st.
So that's the update.
That's the update. It's all in. So 1, 2, 3 is Celtics, Lakers, Sixers. I think it's one of those things where, as far as the Lakers are concerned, and what the Celts needed, it kind of feels like whether they picked 2nd or 3rd, and if they were able to get it protected like they did, that they were going to get their choice of who they wanted, whoever was at the top of their list. But I don't know about that. We've talked a little bit about the Celtics. It's the first number 1 Eastern Conference seed to get the first round pick the same year since the Lakers were the first in their conference, first seed in their conference, and then ended up picking James Worthy number 1 overall. So the Celtics, everybody says, well, they've got Isaiah Thomas. Why do they need a point guard? Mm-hmm. Isaiah is going to be looking for big dollars,
money,
some big money. Now, for
is he a free agent?
Not yet.
Is he a free agent?
No, not yet. But
he will be.
But he will be. And at some point, once he gets over that, his next contract is the important one.
Right. Yeah.
And so the Celtics have to be thinking about that. I think it would be smart for the Celtics to pick a point guard there, either Markelle Fultz or Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
I think that could be something where they're looking down the future. Isaiah Thomas is very good off the ball as well. So if you were to bring in Lonzo Ball or Markelle Fultz,
he'd play 2.
You can Isaiah can play the 2. Markelle is a big kid. He can play somewhere else, Lonzo somewhere else, and you develop another guy. They might do that. I think Celtic fans are looking for them to make a big splash with somebody who maybe fits their, a 3 guy or something like that, or in their lineup.
So you think they're going to go after the Josh, the kid from Kansas, or the kid from Kentucky?
Josh Jackson,
yeah.
Possibly, or Tatum, or Fox.
What about the kid from Kentucky? Is he a 2? Molink or?
I'm not sure what he is. I think he is a 2.
Is he a 2? Okay.
I saw something Draft Express. I don't know how creditable they are. Their mock draft had Boston taking Markelle, number 1.
I think that's smart. I think
I don't think Danny Ainge wants to deal with.
I don't think so.
Ball. I don't think he wants to deal with him.
I think that would be different. I think having LeVar, who has just been such a loudmouth, who we were talking about off air, that he's sort of building his empire with these kids. So they're selling shoes and they're selling clothing. But he's also starting a production company and a media wing to this empire. And he's also, it looks like he's going to be Lonzo's agent and management. So he's going to be calling the shots for this kid for a while. I mean, remember, Lonzo is only 19. So whether LeVar starts to dial it back, if he thinks it's going to cost his kid money, because he's a businessman first and foremost, and I think we all know that. If it feels like it's going to cost his kid money, he may dial it back, and just that you let the kid go. And I think that if he goes to the East Coast, that's probably better situation, because then LeVar's probably not gonna uproot his wife.
He's got 2 more kids.
He's got 2 more kids playing high school ball. His wife just had a stroke. I don't think I think that's part of the reason why he keeps talking about Lonzo staying and playing for LA, getting picked by LA, staying in Los Angeles, staying locally.
Well, I hope your letter to the Laker front office was well received.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I haven't heard any reply yet. But that was my article. It was an open letter to Magic and Rob Pelinka saying, do not draft Lonzo Ball because you're going to get LeVar Ball with him, and we just don't need the headaches. Look, I think Lonzo Ball is a terrific player. I think he's got a lot of skills. I think he's going to develop into, an all-star. I think it's too early to tell how good he can be. He does have an odd shot, an odd release. It's very different getting and making your own shot in the NBA than it is in college. But it's an exciting day for the Lakers, because they're going to get, one of the top 3 best, players.
Do you think it's important for the Lakers, splash-wise, to sign Lonzo? You think that would create excitement?
I guess my question to you is, they draft him. What do you do with what you have?
I think that they're still coveting a Paul George. You need to move a piece. Could that be D'Angelo? It could. Jordan Clarkson. It could. It's going to be a logjam. Right at the 1 and 2, because Jordan can play a little one, but he can also be off ball. They've been experimenting with D'Angelo Russell at off ball as a number 2 guy. I don't think they're worried about that so much. I think you could go with, you can make something happen with all of those guys. And what a young core. But that's going to be a very young core for the Lakers for a long time. And I think what you do is you get the best guys available. Whoever is ranked number 2 on your board, you go get.
Yeah.
Right.
Whether it's a precise fit for what you're doing right now, you got to go get it, because then it opens up things. Then it becomes a bargaining chip, a piece. I think what happens now is you're going to hear more from LeVar and Lonzo about where they want to be. Things like, hey, Boston, don't bother drafting Lonzo.
Another Eli Manning, San Diego Charger scenario.
Don't, or Elway, don't bother drafting me. I will not sign with you. I think that's the LeVar dialogue. The Lonzo is play wherever.
Yeah.
But any place that he goes, if you look at that, Celtics, let's say he goes one of the top 2, any place he goes, there's somebody in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
If not 2 with the Lakers, if you count Clarkson and.
So there you go, right? Then you got Dad talking about, like, why is my kid sitting? My kid's better than that kid.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're going to deal with all that stuff.
And I think that's the problem. It's sort of a pick your poison. There's thorns on every rose. The Lakers have their own television contract network, right? So they need a lot of content. The media loves this guy. They love LeVar. When Lonzo talks, he's a pretty eloquent kid. He seems like a nice kid. But LeVar is his mouthpiece. That's a win for the Lakers to get a player that good and a guy who gets ratings. Especially when you got 24 hours of content you need to fill on your own television station, right? So it sort of feels like, if you're looking at it objectively, it sort of feels like a match made in heaven for the Lakers. Top caliber kid, with a this Kardashian-like dad reality program.
Yeah.
Let's monetize this and move it forward. But that honeymoon will end quickly, and I don't know that that's how. Everybody I've heard said that LeVar makes no difference on how we're going to draft. Doc Rivers said, if we were able to draft him, we'd draft him. It doesn't matter who is.
I think I look for him to, if they can acquire Paul George, and they still have cap space to sign one max deal. If they make the right move, they could bring a couple of guys in there, a couple of veterans to stabilize that youth core, show a little leadership, be good in the room, and that might go a long way.
I think that's a great point, but I think it's got to be multiple people. George is just not going to come in and say, I'm going to babysit, 5 guys.
No, he needs help.
I think you're going to have to get 2 or 3 guys that are going to have to come in. Now, the third guy might not be the best guy, but he's going to be great in that locker room, and he's going to be great off the bench. But I think you're going to need a couple guys to help that.
If you trade one of the young kids, you've got to be able to put either Dang or what's the other guy?
Mozgov.
One of those in that package.
I'm sure the Lakers would love to do that.
Right.
I'm not sure the Pacers would want to take a 16 or a $19 million contract. They
still got years left on them.
Or Mozgov. Absolutely. They've got a lot of years left on them. I'm sort of going the other way on this. I think that why not? If Paul George is willing to come,
he wants to come.
If he's willing to come, and you are willing to give up the number 2, and I think Brandon Ingram's the untouchable guy here. So let's say that the number 2 is a point guard. It's either Markelle Fultz or Lonzo Ball, and they have to give up the number 2. So that's a point guard. So that means that they'll probably be able to keep Jordan Clarkson and D'Angelo, likely, since they'd be giving the Pacers the number 2. Let's say Julius Randle. I think he's the most expendable of the 3, in my opinion. Okay, so Julius Randle and number 2, and Mozgov or Dang. I don't know that the Pacers would do that.
Right.
It would probably take more than that. I mean, again, when you take on more, they'd have to even it out. The Pacers would give up. They'd have to even out money wise as far as the contract.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to give up one guy for 4 because then you've got money. But the money would be close. But for the Pacers, if George really wants to come for the Pacers, it's like, I got a rookie contract from a kid who could be an all-star, either Fultz or Ball, at a point guard, and a developing power forward like Julius Randle, and then some pieces, to kind of flesh it out. And then they give up somebody else. And for me, I think the Lakers can start to build and start to win. Are they going to win a championship next year? Absolutely not. Whether they get Paul George or not, they're not going to win a championship next year. Let's just hope for the playoffs and they develop. But if you're talking D'Angelo, Russell, Jordan Clarkson, Paul George, Julius Randle, and Z-Bots, I like that.
Yeah,
I'm willing to go through another sub 500 year.
But then you're going to have to find good bench players to be competitive.
Well, Luol Deng's still on the roster.
Right.
Timofey Mozgov is still on the roster. Larry Nance Jr.
Nance Jr. I think is a nice,
good little player. I'm not as troubled by that. I don't think we need to panic to get Paul George.
Oh, no.
I think the price needs to be right. If it's not right, wait for him to be a free agent next year.
Yeah.
He's a free agent after next?
Correct.
After next season.
And
next year.
Who are the key free agents this year?
Well, there's a couple of people who are opting out. Kyle Lowry just opted out of his contract. I think I don't know all of who's opting, who is all going to be opting out. Once the playoffs are over, we'll know better who's opting out of their contract, who's deciding to move on and look for a bigger contract. Some of these guys may be willing to, a little like you see in baseball. Some of these guys may be willing to be rentals.